So I feel like if you're going to be really audacious enough to wear an 80s t-shirt and a high pony in your hair, you probably should rock the ridiculous hoopy earrings to go along with it, okay? So just want to share that with us. But the purpose of this live stream is to discuss with you a memory that I shared on my page today, which always gets a great traction every time I share it. So there was a woman in my life, and her name was Mrs. Gorman. She was my Nanny Connolly's friend, and my Nanny Connolly passed away before I was born. And every time as a small child that I was passing by, she lived on the other side of the street, every time I was passing by her gate and she saw me, she'd call me and say, young Connolly girl, come over here now till I find out how you are. She always took a great interest in me personally, what was going on in school, how was sport going, how was your other nanny, how your cousins and your aunties and your uncles. She just cared. She really, really cared. And I always used to look forward to seeing her, and I always sat up a little bit straight or walked a little bit taller, and I used to use my phone voice to make sure that I was speaking clearly and articulately to Mrs. Gorman, because at the end of the day I really, really respected her, and she commanded that respect, which I really, really admired. So fast forward many, many years, and I'm married and I have my first child, and we're struggling financially because I had to give up my career, and obviously our mortgage was based on two salaries at the time, and I'm looking after my son, and I'm in the garden with him and I'm holding him in my arms, and my son was very, very ill back then, and we really are lucky to have him, but you're lucky he's as strong as an ox now. You all see him online all the time. So she called me, young Connolly girl, come over here and let me see that child. So I went over to Miss Gorman. We stood at the gate, and I was really down on myself at the time. I wasn't in a really good spot, and she says, so how are you? And I said, I'm not great, Mrs. Gorman. You know, I'm really struggling financially, and you know, we're living a good bit away from the family, and Jamie's really sick, and you know, Neil and I are arguing, and I just was going on and on and on and on with a very long list of things that weren't going right. And she listened, and she said, who told you that this was going to be easy? Who told you that? And I was like, oh, she's giving out to me. I was waiting for, there, you'll be fine. You know, now some of us need kid gloves every now and again, but some of us need a little bit of straight talking. And that's what we call in these parts a kick in the arse and a kiss in the cheek at the same time. And I said, well, nobody said it was going to be easy, Mrs. Gorman. And she said, at least you have a son. Some people don't have sons. Your son will get better, and you will always be able to earn money. And everybody's marriage is hard. Nobody said it would be easy. Now you get yourself together, girl, and you rear that child, and you sort that marriage out. You sort those finances. And I was like, oh my God. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. But I really, really appreciate that conversation that Mrs. Gorman had with me that day, because everything is energy, and what we focus on expands. If I was only focusing on all of the things that were going wrong for me back then, I would still be in that dark, horrible place. But from that moment forward, it was a defining moment in my life whereby I was able to switch my thinking. Now, I was able to do that many times before, and I've done it many times since. But sometimes we need the kick in the arse to show us a little bit of cop on, and a little bit of streetwise, and a little bit of straight talking. So, unfortunately, Mrs. Gorman is no longer with us. She must be past now. I'd say it must be 10 years. And you know, I miss those conversations, and I love seeing her family online and chit-chatting and all them things and staying in touch with them. It's great. And I love me neighbours from Edenmore listen to these stories about Mrs. Gorman and other people that I speak about where I'm from, because we all need, God, I'm getting emotional, we all need a Mrs. Gorman. So My question for you is this. Have you ever been in a situation like that, whereby somebody has had a good, straight talking, inner city conversation with you for you to see the wood for the trees and for you to wake up and smell the coffee? I want you to share that story with me, so we can inspire other people. Because there's Sharon Clinton saying, thank you, I just needed to hear this today. Because we learn more quickly in numbers than we do as individuals, okay? So what I want you to do is share your stories with me of how somebody helped you along in your life like that. Or if you did an act like Mrs. Gorman did for me that day, if you ever had a straight talking conversation with somebody whereby you put manners on them and they were able to see the wood for the trees, I would be absolutely over the moon if you shared that information with me, and I look forward to reading it later on the page. Take it easy. Slán.